U.S. sports betting operations are edging toward profitability. And if you watch Sunday's big game, it may seem that sports betting operators are one of the night's biggest winners. For more on this year's betting trends, let's get to Citizens Capital Markets Head of Gaming, Leisure, Investment Banking, Christopher Lynch. Chris, good to see you here this morning. Any early takeaways on how a lot of the betting companies did for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, look, I think the outcome of the game was mixed. Certainly hit the over, and then I think the Chiefs were a good outcome for the teams. But the Super Bowl was all about customer acquisition, right? And that's why you see such a high level of advertising during the Super Bowl. It's the biggest acquisition event of the year, and all signs point to a very good outcome on that front.
I don't know. Maybe you can explain to me why I saw that Gronkowski field goal go in, and then the commercial said it didn't happen, which is still confusing to me this morning. I mean, how do you think the different betting companies did with that customer acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get creative, right? And they're finding different ways to attract and, more importantly, retain customers, right? We're hitting the point now where the industry is becoming more mature. It's not mature, but more mature in states like New Jersey, for example. And they're getting more creative with promotions to retain those customers that they acquired on a pretty expensive basis several years ago.
Out of everyone in the industry, which company is closest to profitability and why?
It's FanDuel by a pretty significant margin, and I think what you see with FanDuel is economies of scale. So FanDuel is across the board, the market leader, performs at a really high rate, and because of that, they benefit from economies of scale from national advertising and other benefits that they get from that.
Now, you mentioned the promotions and how they're sort of maturing. Does that mean we've seen the end of the sort of arms race of like them just throwing money at potential customers? You said they're getting more creative with the promotions. What does that mean for that whole cycle?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's market driven, right? The cost of capital for these companies has increased pretty dramatically from the 2020, 2021 timeframe that most people refer to when you talk about the arms race and the excessive levels of advertising. So as capital costs have gone up, they've had to become more prudent, more deliberate with the way they spend their capital.
Are these companies going to need more capital to fulfill their ultimate vision?
Yeah, that's the question the street is asking right now. Are cash levels across these companies sufficient to bridge them to profitability, bridge them to the point at which they can continue to self-fund themselves? Virtually every company will tell you yes. I think the one thing that can really move the needle on that are a couple of big states that legalized, as Texas legalized this year. We saw what happened in California. That could really change the equation about timeline to profitability and need for capital.
What are some of the other big things we can expect this year? Is it going to be, you mentioned Texas, is it going to be more states? Is it going to be new waves of new games, I should say, that are more coming to the fore? What do you expect? Yeah,
I mean, legalization's definitely slowed down. That's just a function of how many states have legalized, right? We're at about 35 states that have legalized in some form or fashion. I think that's going to continue to remain a focus, with Texas being the biggest focus. What the operators are really focused on this year is iGaming, more so than sports betting, and seeing additional iGaming states, because from an earnings standpoint, a profitability standpoint, iGaming really moves the needle.
Sorry, what do we mean by iGaming?
Internet gaming, slot machines, table games on your phone versus sports betting. And in a state like New Jersey, DraftKings and others are able to offer those side by side. In New York and other states, that's not the case.
What gets betting through or just into the end zone in Texas?
They have a lot of support from very powerful individuals, both sports team owners, and they're starting to build political support. Texas has looked at gaming expansion for many years, and it's historically a conservative state, and it's always been a high bar to get over. But it feels like with the momentum is building in that state.
Chris, we didn't ask you who your team was.
So I oversee the gaming and leisure investment banking practice at Citizens, and we've been
what team you were in?
I'm sorry. So I'm a Giants fan, so I tried to forget about the teams in the Super Bowl already.
We can't root for the Eagles.
Look, I can't say I'm too upset about the outcome.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I was saying. That's what I was interested in.
All right, well, fair enough. Good to see you here. Citizens Capital Markets Head of Gaming and Leisure Investment Banking, Christopher Lynch. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.